The LG G6 already actually got it, and the Samsung Galaxy S8 is about to get it soon enough as well. What I'm talking about is my flagship treatment, which means that I'm more so than usually picky, and a lot of people didn't like that so much on the LG G6, and I'm quite sure even less people will like it on the S8. But what most people actually don't even know, there is one step of even more so picky treatment, which I like to call my daily driver treatment. But for that, an actual phone has to qualify. It has to offer the exact right ingredients that I want from a phone. So that's quite a subjective thing. And in the first few minutes of actually using it, it has to impress me, which the Xiaomi Mi 6 did get just right. And even though I will be more brutal than usually, even more so and on the flagship treatment, since this device knew to impress me, there is not actually all that much to complain about. So let's just get into the design and build quality. First of all, design. I have to say it's absolutely gorgeous because it resembles the Samsung Galaxy S8 a lot. That I loved as well, since this was my daily driver for the last year. And I would actually compare them quite similar because, as you can see here, the Xiaomi Mi 6 is a little bit of a wider and a little bit of a taller, but therefore thinner S7. That's pretty much how you can describe it quite well, because this is what it feels like, actually even better, because the sides here are even more so seamless with the nice curve towards the side. It also feels way more narrow than it is, and even though it is a little bit more narrow than, for example, an S8 or S7, this feels absolutely right because very thin, but very sturdy and very well built. And the overall design as well knows to deliver, because the buttons are placed, in my opinion, absolutely perfect. Yes, there may be a little wiggle a little bit, and that's maybe a one tiny imperfection, same as, for example, in my case, the SIM card and SD card tray that is sticking out just a little bit. But I've asked a few people that have one as well, they didn't have either of that, so that's just something to keep in mind. Of course, since it has glass, it will attract a lot of fingerprints, not an issue for me because they can be easily wiped away. Same as also for the front, because the oleophobic coating works absolutely top. It feels great. I think it's just built amazing, and there is a teardown that you can see on the internet that shows actually that the build quality on its own is this time really good. So in terms of build and design, absolutely loving it. Let's go around it and check what we get. Of course, we have the dual lens setup here with the LEDs. We have here an IR blaster and the microphone, SD card and SIM card tray, as I already said. We have USB Type-C, the speaker for the mids and the bass on the right, along with the one for the highs at the earpiece, and here the microphone. I've already talked about the buttons, but let's talk about the fingerprint reader, and I'm absolutely impressed by it. It's not quite on a Huawei P10 level because it's just not quite as quick in terms of screen turn-on time, but it reacts super reliable at all times. And as you can see, once the screen is on, this is super snappy, super reliable. What you will also have here are two capacitive buttons. They light up with a point, but I actually disabled that. I'm actually happy that I have this option out of the box, so I'm happy with that. Yes, it's maybe not the most narrow one, especially not with the least amount of bezels, but I just have to say, in terms of in-hand feel, this device smokes most other devices out there, and I'm absolutely impressed by that. Now let's get into the display. What you have here in terms of options is increased contrast, automatic contrast, standard. But what I'm a little bit disappointed by, that you can only use the color temperature control for the automatic contrast, something I actually didn't even notice in the past so much. But I have to say, if you use increased contrast, I'm absolutely blown away by this absolute flagship level display, because it's extremely bright with 675 lux. The viewing angles are very stable. The only thing that I could complain about is that the IPS glow itself is maybe not 100% flagship worthy, but when will you use the device in this angle? So if you are just using it straightforward, absolutely gorgeous. The white point can be set, at least in some situations, and it is already quite nice. The blacks itself are quite good. And I just have to say, I like the calibration, because yes, it's saturated because I increased the saturation in the settings, but this is just delivering an absolutely great experience. It's also sharp, and I don't need Quad HD or anything else because I don't use VR. So for me, it is an absolute top of the top flagship level display. Now let's get into the sound. First thing to say about the speakers, that sound weird, but it's okay. We have the kind of HTC 10 speaker arrangement with the highs on the top and the bass and the mids on the bottom, and that delivers you an absolutely great sound. It sounds very much like the Huawei P10 Plus. Absolutely fine maximum volume. I never needed really more. Sometimes actually was too much. But what I think I have to mention is that the maximum volume sometimes on maybe lower quality audio tends to slightly distort, just a little bit. Usually it didn't even bother me enough, so I did use it, but the overall sound balance was very nice because it was actually quite warm, not super warm, but actually a little bit on the warmer side with very clear highs and a high quality sound. So I'm very impressed about that and I give it a really good. Not quite a very good because that one I gave, for example, the Xiaomi Mi6, which was just a little bit better, but as it is, the great thing is that you get some kind of front-facing speaker sound, which I like to see. But what gets a very good without any problems is the not existent headphone jack, because for that you will need the dongle here or this kind of adapter. But once you plug that in, you will actually get a really good, a very good sound, because you have some extra options, like I've already shown in a few reviews, where you can choose the specific headphone if you have some from Xiaomi, or you can just use the equalizer and so on. But even without doing anything, the sound is really good, high quality, rich, not a whole lot of hiss or anything like that. So really, 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 really great. Okay, let's get into the performance. We have the 6GB version here. I think that's the only one available, but the storage is different. But okay, let's check the launch app launch times. As you can see, absolutely fast. This is an absolutely snappy device in all situations, because the only thing that I could maybe point out, which is maybe not on a Samsung Galaxy S8 level, is that we have a minimal amount of motion blur, but it never really bothered me because it's way less as, for example, on something like the P10 Plus. And the overall performance though is super consistent because it's very smooth, it's very responsive at all times. I've pretty much never seen any sort of lag or anything. It knows to deliver really at any point in time, absolutely 100%. And that's why I will actually give it maybe even a performance rating above the S8, because the S8, due to the AMOLED display itself, sometimes feels even a little bit lighter, but what this does is perfectly smooth at all times on a high-end level. So this is pretty much the best of the best that you can get for now. I have to, of course, call it out. But one thing that I don't like so much is the quite slow animation here to get to the recent apps. You can change that as well here, if you can see the task view or the card view or this. I actually kind of prefer this one, but it's still not the fastest solution, and double tap doesn't bring you to the last app. So that's a minor complaint, but with 6GB of RAM, the multitasking is very powerful. I never really noticed any reload times, and the gaming performance is absolutely great as well, because due to the Snapdragon 835 and just 1080p, it handles all the games that I threw at it absolutely perfectly fine with high frame rates, pretty much no stutters or slowdowns or skips or anything like that. And what kind of actually even impressed me more, that I did not absolutely expect, is that even after playing a game for over half an hour, the device pretty much didn't heat up at all. The only moment where it maybe did heat up is after using it quite heavy on mobile data, where it just had to get a little bit more action done. But then it was just, even then, I would say maybe slightly warm, but not even that, and a quite efficient SoC. I'm super happy about that. Now, when it comes to the charge time, very fast. And one thing that I want to actually point out is that I really like how quickly it charges at the start. So you can get it like 50% in 30 minutes, and even then it continues quite strong. So it's a very nice charging behavior. I absolutely love that. Also, 8% for 1 hour of YouTube is pretty much one of the best values out there. And one thing that I did not expect to get at all is this battery life, because on mobile data only I got 6 to 6.5, usually somewhere in between, but once even almost 7 hours of screen on time on mobile data. And if I would go to Wi-Fi, I'm at around 9 to actually even up to 10 hours of use. This is absolutely great, and I would have never expected to see such a great battery life from a small compact flagship. Because yes, there are big phablets with bigger batteries that know to deliver even maybe sometimes better battery life, but even that really just a few times. But I've never seen such a compact flagship with this amazing of a great battery life. So let's get into the software, and that's actually one thing that I have to point out. One thing. What I said in my preview is that Gmail doesn't work, which it still doesn't on this version, and a few other services didn't work, like for example notifications didn't work for me at all, and some other things. But I have to say, I know for a fact that there is a shop ROM already available where everything works. I've tried that. I can use Gmail without any issues, I can use notifications, I got everything. I could use all Google services without an issue. So all my complaints I still have on this version, since this is running the latest Chinese version, as you can see here, 8.2.180, which still has the issue. What now works, for example, is Chrome Sync. That didn't work in the past, but now I know that this device will soon be fixed if you don't have that particular shock problem. But now let's get into the software here. Otherwise, what we get here, of course, is no app drawer, not an issue, just use a third-party launcher. We have still the quite ugly default theme, not a problem. You can just download another one, and that's great because we have a quite powerful theming engine. You can, of course, rearrange those buttons. We have, for example, one-hand mode, if I would find that, but there's no need to show that. We still have the quick ball, in case you want to maybe use that instead of the buttons here. Absolutely great. Of course, you can also rearrange those buttons in case you want to. You can, of course, set some long press gestures and so on. All this is available without any issues. There is a lot of minor customization here that actually makes this quite a powerful software, because we have also second space, notifications bar can be set up. So you can see there are a lot of minor tweaks that you usually see on custom ROMs, but I have to say, I'm super pleased what I got with this software, because it's quite flexible. It gives me all the options. Yes, some minor things like the recent apps UI is something that I don't like so much, but it is a very capable software, and I now am quite relieved that I know that with a shop ROM or soon with a global ROM or something similar like that, notifications will work, Gmail will work, and everything else will work that I needed to work and was a little bit concerned about. And just today I got it confirmed, so all is fine. I am super happy about that. So let's get into the camera. If we check the selfies, as you can already see here, they are absolutely nice, because I would say this is really good. Actually, I would have to go back now. Let's start it off. As you can see, it was extreme sunlight, but as you can see here, it maintains very sharp at all times. And I can't really quite give it a very good, because sometimes I just had a few pictures, for example, like this one, that it didn't turn out perfectly. But as you can see, this already looks absolutely nice, and definitely easily gets a really good, because the quality absolutely is fine. And then you can, of course, also see here a low light picture with the flash and without, and it still looks absolutely fine. But I wouldn't maybe call this more than a quite good low light cam, because it gets a little bit more grainy. It's not the very best one. I've seen better ones here. So here it maybe falls slightly behind the better ones. But once we have a nice amount of light, as you can see here, great amount of details, absolutely top, super sharp, super nice. And I have to say, the autofocus worked absolutely top reliable, shutter times were fast, I almost got no misfires. And I may be not the most in-depth camera reviewer, but for me what is important is a great experience while using it and then getting great pictures. And as you can already see here, I got all those pictures very easily, and you can see such a nice amount of details with great sharpness. Colors usually fine. The only situation where you maybe see that it's not a top level camera is, for example, here like landscape footage, where things just mush in a little bit. Here you can't maybe distinguish every little detail, but macros it's very nice. But as you can see here some details just get lost. This is not perfect, but this could maybe even be fixed in the software. But to get to the next thing here, the dual cam, what it offers is, as you can see here, a 2x zoom. And I would say let's just forget this feature entirely, because you could just use the main cam and zoom it to x2 and you would even get a better picture, because the secondary camera doesn't have the same quality as the first one. So I think this is an absolutely unnecessary, useless feature. They shouldn't have even used it. So a little bit unfortunate, but since the main cam is good enough, I can forgive that. And about the front-facing camera, as you can already see here, that one absolutely knows still to show that it can deliver. Let me turn off the sound. I messed that up, but that was kind of to be expected, I would say. Okay, now, what do I have to say about the 4K? Yes, a little bit of artifacting on faster movement is there, but what I actually have to say, what is absolutely nice, is the autofocus, because as you can see here, very nice, very subtle, but still very fast. Of course, not maybe the most shake-free, but I gotta say it's a nice cam. So I would say overall very good video cam. There are better ones for sure, but I have to say, at least if you don't move too much, you can get very nice results. Maybe not the very best one, and I've totally tanked the front-facing camera video, but that one was also quite good. So no biggies about that, nothing to really worry about. And I know I messed the last few seconds up a little bit. I got confused because I always forget to turn off the speakers. But I would just say let's get into the pros and cons. Here I want to start off with the, in my opinion, absolutely gorgeous design, the almost great build quality. We have, in my opinion, an absolutely easy flagship level display and still a very good, or at least say really good speaker, something that I'm very happy to see here, because that wasn't the case on the Mi 5S last year, and we have a very good 3.5mm adapter. Top of the line performance at the moment without any concerns. It starts charging very quick, which is nice, and the battery life itself is great, plus something I did not expect to see at all. We have very powerful software. In terms of the cams, the front facing camera is really good, the low light cam is quite good, we have an almost great main cam, and at least a very good video cam, and all this comes with, in my opinion, a very good value. Now, what about the not that great stuff that I have to just point out? At least for now, with the first badges, maybe tiny build imperfections, but from what I've seen, my version was actually one of the weaker ones. The rest seemed absolutely fine. Not quite flagship worthy IPS glow, doesn't break though that this is still a flagship display. The speaker tends to slightly distort at maximum volume, but even then so slightly that it didn't really bother me at all. Like I said, no 3.5mm headphone jack, but a really nice adapter included. Issues with Google services for now with the Chinese ROM, but don't worry too much about, since I already know the shop ROM can fix this. I'm pretty sure it will happen with other ROMs as well soon. We don't have band 20 yet. I'm not quite sure if a version like that will appear. It wasn't a huge issue for me because my LTE isn't really faster than 3G anyways, and if you live in a country where band 20 isn't a thing anyways, you shouldn't even bother, and it usually has to be imported. So to get this to an end, it got my flagship treatment, but as I said, all those qualities were so high that I didn't really have to complain all that much. And not just because of my daily driver treatment, it was that I maybe was too soft on it, because I've pointed out, I think, pretty much all the negative things that I have found. I know that a few people maybe complained about the microphone of the video camera being not that great. In my opinion, it was absolutely okay, but if I would have to point out things, it was actually, before I knew that, the only thing that I was worried about not maybe being able to be my daily driver was the software thing. But since I got another phone in for a review, the same version with a shop ROM that fixed all of that, I'm now perfectly happy. And that's why I'm going to say it did not just qualify for my daily driver treatment for a good reason, but it did actually got it, yes. So pretty sure that maybe once this falls even a little bit shorter, because I'm in no rush to get a new phone, I guess this will be my daily driver. I don't see any reason why not, because everything I want in a phone, this is exactly it. Because I want usually a 5 to 5.2 inch phone, I got that. I want a flagship level display, I got that. I wanted really good sound, something that you still don't get on most phones. I got that as well. I got a pretty much absolutely perfect, top-notch performance. I got great battery life, which is something I won't get on most other flagships either. There is one that is really good as well, like for example the LG G6, but still not as good as this one. The camera though, if you would have to consider, maybe is kind of one of the weaker points, because that one can't quite hold up. For me, easily good enough, because especially the main cam was almost great. Yes, you can get better video. Yes, you can get better pictures, selfies as well on other cameras. But a whole combination of all those great features with pretty much no important downside, this makes it, for me at least, the almost perfect phone. And I don't see any reason why I should not use this. Even more so happy as my daily driver than I did last year with the S7. And in case you are wondering how this stacks up to the S8 or the LG G6, all of those comparisons will come soon enough as well. That's pretty much all I have to say. Oh yeah, I'm just super happy. I'm super happy that actually quite early in this year I found the phone that I always wanted, because I was a big fan of the S7, which I didn't get things on the S8, but now I got them on the Xiaomi. So yeah. And it's cheaper, noticeably cheaper, so the value is great, so yep, that's all I have to say. Okay, until next time, bye.